Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging deep into artificial intelligence, a topic that's really not just buzzworthy, it's fundamentally reshaping, well, everything. We've pulled together an incredible range of sources, from cutting-edge research papers to some really deep philosophical thinking to try and understand AI's impact.
Yeah, and our goal for this deep dive isn't just to talk about AI as like another piece of tech. We want to explore how it's sparking completely new discoveries, how it's influencing human development right across the board, and also how it gives us this fresh lens to understand our own rules, our morality, even our cultural shifts. It's really about this symbiotic future between humans and AI.
And trust me, you're going to uncover some pretty surprising stuff with us. This goes way beyond robots and code. It's really about how AI is changing what it means to be human, how we live. So let's get started. Okay, so let's unpack this first big idea. Our sources are showing that AI isn't just, helping scientists anymore. It's sort of becoming a scientist itself. What does that actually look like?
It's fascinating, actually. We're seeing this shift from AI being just a tool and augmentation to systems that can do what's called autonomous discovery. We're seeing these foundation models for science pop up. Think of them like large language models, but trained specifically on scientific data.
Right, like GPT, but for, say, chemistry.
Exactly. And this is leading to things like robot scientists and this concept called the design, make, test, analyze loop, the DMTA loop. Basically, the AI can come up with an idea, develop it, run the experiment, look at the results, and then, refine it iteratively, all on its own.
Wow.
Yeah, and there are platforms like Future House using specific AI agents.
Yeah.
Like Crow digs up information, Phoenix plans chemistry stuff, Finch handles automated biology discovery. Our sources suggest these agents are even finding potential new drug candidates.
That's incredible. So the human scientist role then, it changes completely from doing the experiment to
Overseeing? Precisely. It shifts more towards higher level thinking, conceptualization, asking the right questions, and crucially, ethical oversight. And beyond pure science, AI is set to unlock services we haven't even really conceived of yet.
like what?
Well, take creative field, for example. Generative AI is already helping novelists brainstorm, refine dialogue, keep the style consistent. Though, it's fair to say, the sources do note it can struggle a bit with, true originality. Sometimes falls back on cliches.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, especially for you listening. Our sources Project AI could add trillions to the global economy by 2030. Trillions.
Right.
And open up countless new ways of working. What are some of these speculative AI services that could drive that kind of massive change?
Okay, so imagine things like personalized predictive health twins. It would analyze your specific genomic data, your real-time biometrics, to predict when you might get sick and tailor treatments just for you. The potential there is, well, maybe even eradicating chronic diseases, extending healthy life.
That's mind-blowing.
Right. Or in education, adaptive cognitive scaffolding. It would customize learning content, the methods, everything, to your individual cognitive profile, even your emotional state. Think about optimizing everyone's potential, making access truly equitable.
And for the planet.
A global climate resilience network. Imagine integrating sensors globally to predict environmental disasters, floods, fires with hyperlocal accuracy, then optimizing how we allocate resources to respond.
Okay.
Or even AI-optimized universal basic services. AI managing and distributing essential resources, food, energy, water, based on real-time need. Could that help eliminate poverty? It's a huge question.
It really is.
Then there's stuff like programmable matter for dynamic infrastructure, materials that change their own properties, leading to self-repairing bridges or buildings, products that adapt, and maybe even interspecies communication, AI decoding animal sounds to help us understand ecosystems better, relate to nature differently.
That's an incredible sweep of possibilities. But it brings up a critical point, doesn't it? Initiatives like NRR in the US aim to democratize AI access. But right now, the big foundation models, the massive computing power, that's mostly industry-led, right? By a few big players.
That's a major tension, yes.
So if that access gap persists, could these huge breakthroughs just get concentrated in the hands of a few, making global inequalities even worse?
It's a very real risk. And it connects to that other point about AI's novelty. Is it truly original thinking? Our sources suggest it often struggles with genuinely new ideas, sometimes just recombining existing stuff in clever ways, falling back on patterns. It highlights that human creativity, with our sometimes messy, unruly way of thinking, that spark is still vital for the really big leaps.
Right. So AI isn't just this far-off future thing. It's already making waves in big sectors like healthcare and education now. Let's dig into healthcare first. How's it reshaping things there?
Well, in healthcare, AI is pushing us hard towards that personalized predictive model we talked about. Take diagnostics. AI algorithms are getting incredibly good at spotting tiny anomalies in biopsy slides, often better than human specialists, and way faster, like cutting analysis time by up to 50%.
50%, wow.
Yeah, and in radiology, deep learning models are matching human experts at finding issues in X-rays, CT scans, MRIs. Plus, it's speeding up drug discovery like crazy, identifying promising compounds, modeling how they might work in the body, potentially cutting years off development time.
Years.
It enables real-time adaptive treatments, too. Think AI-powered insulin pumps that adjust doses automatically. And it's being piloted in maternal and child health, trying to bridge gaps in places with fewer doctors.
What about mental health?
That, too. AI apps, even social robots, are offering 247 emotional support, delivering things like cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. They're proving really helpful for kids with autism, for instance. And brain-computer interfaces are emerging, aiming to actually enhance cognitive functions. It's a fundamental shift from reacting to illness to proactively managing health.
Okay, but this hyper-personalization, it must rely on masses of our personal data, right? What does that mean for privacy?
That's the crux of it. This level of personalization absolutely requires collecting incredibly sensitive data, genomic, biometric, lifestyle. So it raises huge ethical questions about privacy, data security, potential algorithmic bias in who gets what treatment recommendation, and the risk of that data being used for surveillance or discrimination. The more powerful the AI, the bigger the risk if it's misused.
Definitely something we need solid guardrails for. Okay, let's pivot to education. How is AI changing learning for you, the listener?
It's enabling personalized learning at a scale we've just never seen before. AI can tailor the content, adjust the difficulty, even adapt teaching methods to fit an individual student's needs, their style, their pace. It's also huge for accessibility features like text-to-speech, real-time translation, helping learners with different needs.
And for the teachers.
A big potential benefit is automating administrative stuff, lesson planning, grading, tasks that take up so much time, freeing educators up to actually engage more deeply with students. Plus, AI assessments can give real-time feedback, spot where a student is struggling much faster. We're even seeing AI tools and social robots used to help with holistic development, things like problem-solving skills, communication, emotional regulation, acting as companions, or therapeutic aids.
Those sound like clear wins. But are there downsides? What about relying too much on AI in schools?
Yeah, there are definite concerns. If we offload too much thinking, the cognitive load, onto AI, could it weaken our own critical thinking, our creativity, the uniquely human parts of learning? Some sources suggest exactly that if humans delegate too much, our own cognitive abilities might sort of atrophy in certain areas. It's this paradox. AI designed to make us smarter might, if we're not careful, actually make us less intellectually flexible or robust in some ways.
The tricky balance to strike. Now, AI is also playing a big part in building more sustainable societies. It's fascinating how it's tackling huge challenges like climate change.
Absolutely. AI is incredibly good at crunching vast amounts of environmental data, forecasting climate events, hurricane behavior, sea level rise with greater accuracy, optimizing renewable energy grids for efficiency. It's helping with biodiversity conservation, tracking wildlife, promoting sustainable agriculture, monitoring deforestation in real time.
And in cities.
In urban planning, AI helps design smarter cities, optimizing traffic flow to reduce emissions, making public transport more efficient, even facilitating community input into design processes. And it's revolutionizing resource optimization across industries, manufacturing, energy, supply chains, leading to big cost savings and better performance.
But hang on, there's a bit of an irony here, isn't there? The environmental cost of AI itself.
You've hit on a really important point.
Yes.
Training these massive AI models requires huge amounts of electricity, often from fossil fuels. That means significant carbon emissions, pressure on power grids, and data centers need enormous amounts of water for cooling. So there's this direct feedback loop. The AI being developed to solve environmental problems has its own environmental cost. It means the push for sustainable AI has to include making AI development itself sustainable.
A crucial consideration. Finally, in this section, how is AI reshaping human interaction, maybe even our perception of reality itself?
It's definitely blurring the lines between the physical and digital worlds. Think about universal language translation. It's already making global communication feel almost seamless. Direct thought communication is still sci-fi, but brain-computer interfaces, BCIs, are already translating neural signals into commands for devices for communication.
So the link between mind and machine is getting more direct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And generative AI is transforming virtual and augmented reality, creating hyper-realistic, dynamic, personalized simulations for training, for therapy, for entertainment. We mentioned programmable matter earlier, AI designing materials that change properties on demand, self-healing roads, adaptable buildings, and yeah, that frontier of interspecies communication using AI to decode animal sounds. It all points to our perception and interaction expanding beyond just the physical realm.
Which brings a whole host of ethical questions about what's real, what's authentic.
Absolutely. Deep questions about digital well-being, manipulation, the nature of experience itself.
It really sounds like AI isn't just changing the external world, it's also like this unprecedented mirror reflecting humanity back at us, helping us understand ourselves in new ways.
That's a great way to put it. AI is genuinely offering new perspectives on human history, genetics, biology. Using things like natural language processing, or NLP, AI can sift through enormous text datasets, social media, historical archives, to find subtle patterns in human behavior, thinking, values across different societies and times. Like, NLP can spot tiny shifts in how language is used that might indicate unconscious psychological changes in a population.
So it's like a macroscope for humanity.
Kind of, yeah. And advanced AI models are getting surprisingly good at predicting human behavior. Our sources mention one model, Centaur, trained on millions of real human decisions. It can apparently predict human thought and behavior with up to 64% accuracy in certain contexts. It's like a virtual laboratory for studying us.
64%, that's significant. What about the idea that interacting with AI isn't just us studying it, but it's actually shaping us, shaping human evolution even?
Yes, that's a fascinating, if speculative, idea. AI could act as a kind of environmental pressure, subtly favoring certain human traits over generations. People speculate about things like changes in brain structure if AI takes over more memory functions, or shifts in attention spans due to constant AI interaction, changes in social behavior. It suggests this co-evolutionary path where we shape AI and AI shapes us. Research is even finding surprising similarities in neural activity patterns between human brains and AI agents when they interact socially. This could give us new ways to understand social disorders, for example.
Let's push into the really deep stuff. Philosophy, physics, math, logic. How is AI interacting with these fundamental ways we understand reality?
AI is definitely forcing us to confront deep questions. Information theory, for example, gives us a mathematical way to think about how both human brains and AI process information, where the overlaps are, where they differ, and then there's the really frontier stuff. Research exploring if very complex AI systems might start showing properties we associate with consciousness. Not necessarily feeling in a human way, but functional things, like detecting internal sabotage almost like an immune system, or analogs of recognizing oneself in a mirror.
Consciousness in AI, that's a huge can of worms.
It absolutely is. The idea of a potential super consciousness emerging in AI really challenges our human-centered definitions of intelligence, of sentience, and it raises massive ethical questions about how we should treat such systems if they arise. Are they just tools, or potentially something more?
And what about the flip side? Human irrationality. Does AI help us understand why we don't always act logically?
Yeah, that's another interesting angle. Research explores how some seemingly irrational human behaviors, like certain cognitive biases, the conjunction fallacy, for instance, might actually be signs of sophisticated, context-sensitive reasoning, a kind of creative shortcut. This suggests that maybe AI design should try to incorporate some of that non-linear, messy human thinking to make AI more adaptive, more context-aware, maybe even more creative. AI is also feeding into philosophical debates about human rules versus natural laws. Some theories suggest intelligence, whether human or artificial, inherently grasps universal principles like balance, hinting at a deep link between intelligence and the structure of reality itself.
Okay, this deep dive really has to tackle how AI intersects with, well, human rules, morality, our cultural dynamics. Looking at it from an evolutionary angle, what do the sources say about where our rules even come from?
The perspective is that human morality, societal rules, they aren't static. They're dynamic adaptations, shaped by, as one source put it, the raw necessity of keeping our societies intact. They evolve through challenge and response. And now AI is getting woven into those systems. It's used in legal settings already, spotting potential tax fraud, guiding predictive policing algorithms, assessing flight risk for bail.
But that immediately brings up that major red flag we touched on earlier, the black box problem.
Exactly. If an AI system makes a decision, say, in a legal context, but we can't understand why it made that decision, That clashes fundamentally with principles of transparency and accountability. We need to be able to scrutinize the reasoning, especially when people's rights are at stake. This creates what some call a governance gap. The technology is moving faster than our ability to create the legal and ethical frameworks to manage it properly.
So how does looking through AI's lens help us understand our own biases, maybe aggression, or even why we sometimes break the rules?
Well, because AI models learn from human-generated data, text, images, behavior, they inevitably absorb the patterns in that data, including stereotypes and biases. And worse, they can amplify those existing biases, spreading, as one source puts it, questionable cultural baggage globally. This makes rigorous bias detection and mitigation absolutely critical.
So AI reflects our flaws back at us, potentially magnified.
Precisely. On aggression, AI can analyze communication patterns, tone of voice, word choice to detect early signs of tension or predict disputes. In work teams, maybe even in international diplomacy, it could potentially aid peace building by flagging conflict risks early. However, the sources are clear. AI really struggles with the nuances, the unruly instructions that make us human. Things like acts of mercy, forgiveness, or breaking a rule for perceived greater good. AI tends to see rules in logical application. It lacks that deep contextual understanding, the emotional depth, the complex moral reasoning humans are capable of. Ultimately, deciding what's right or wrong remains a human judgment call, guided by empathy and values beyond pure logic.
And what about culture and how different groups interact? Can AI help us, get along better?
There's potential there. AI could act as an unbiased mediator in some disputes, analyzing arguments, simulating negotiation outcomes. There are experiments with e-contact, using AI digital assistants in structured ways to try and foster more positive attitudes between different groups. And AI is definitely playing a role, for better or worse, in combating misinformation and propaganda online, which fuels so much polarization.
But again, limitations.
Oh, absolutely. AI mediators struggle when conflicts involve deeply held sacred values or fundamentally different belief systems that aren't easily quantifiable or logically reconciled. There's also the risk of AI oversimplifying complex moral arguments or losing crucial cultural nuance. Human empathy, that deep cultural understanding, remains essential. AI is a tool here, an augmentation, not a replacement for human judgment.
Which brings us back to governance. Can AI help us design better societies? Maybe even influence how we choose leaders or make policy?
It certainly has the potential to make government more efficient. Automating bureaucracy, optimizing budgets, analyzing vast data sets to improve public services, predict health crises, leading to more responsive services. It could foster more citizen-centric models, enhancing engagement, tailoring services. And the economic implications, as we said, are huge. Comparable to the Industrial Revolution, AI automating cognitive work, physical work, sparking discussions about entirely new economic models, even things like AI tokens as currency. But this demands we rethink the social contract. How do we ensure the benefits of AI are shared broadly across society, not just captured by a few?
And can't AI actually figure out the best rules or moral codes for us by analyzing history, acting as a kind of moral advisor?
Some sources speculate about that. AI could analyze historical data on societal success and failure, predict outcomes of different rule systems. But again, we hit that limitation. Its inability to grasp the unruly, deeply human elements. While AI might optimize for certain defined outcomes based on rules, human morality, guided by empathy and complex values, ultimately has to remain our domain. So just to kind of wrap up this complex section, there's this core tension between AI's black box nature and our need for understandable justice. AI learns our biases and can amplify them, a dangerous loop. It can help predict conflict, but struggles with deep value differences. The tech is outpacing our governance structures, and the economic shifts require a fundamental rethink of how society shares the benefits.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, the power, the potential, the pitfalls. With all these profound impacts, how do we actually steer this? How do we ensure AI serves humanity's collective well-being? What are the big ethical must-dos?
Well, it's clearly a dual-use technology, right? Immense potential for good, but also significant risks to human rights, privacy, social stability. Without really strong ethical guardrails, AI could absolutely worsen real-world biases, lead to pervasive surveillance we can't escape, flood us with deepfakes and misinformation, cause major job displacement, potentially increasing poverty. Some experts even voice the extreme concern, the sort of existential worry about AI posing an extinction risk down the line if it becomes vastly superhuman and misaligned with our goals.
That's a sobering thought. Let's bring it back to something more immediate. How do we use AI to help cultivate healthy, educated, and, good children in this new world?
Okay, for a healthy child, AI offers possibilities like personalized health monitoring right from pregnancy, detecting complications early, tailoring interventions.
Hmm.
AI apps and social robots, as we mentioned, can offer emotional support, behavioral therapies, especially helpful for kids with developmental disorders. But the ethics here are paramount. Privacy by design, safety by design, inclusion by design have to be built in from the start. And importantly, children themselves need a voice in AI policy that affects them.
And for an educated child.
AI can, as we discussed, revolutionize learning with personalized platforms, freeing up teachers. But that critical balance is key, avoiding over-reliance that could blunt critical thinking or creativity. Some sources strongly suggest prioritizing foundational human skills. First, reading, writing, playing together, creative arts, things that build integrated neural networks in a child's brain before introducing too much tech too early.
And what about fostering a good child? Honest, family-oriented, peaceful. Can AI help there?
Its role there is much more indirect. Maybe AI contributes by enabling more transparent governance or helping mitigate conflicts that affect families, but AI cannot instill moral values. It can't teach empathy directly. Those are deeply human qualities learned through complex social interaction, relationships, modeling by caregivers. Cultivating character, that internal compass, remains a fundamentally human job.
Okay, so given this entire landscape, what are the concrete steps, the recommendations for developing and governing AI responsibly?
The sources really converge on a multi-stakeholder, human-centric approach. It boils down to a few key areas. First, human-centric design and oversight. AI systems must embed core ethical principles, human rights, fairness, privacy from the very beginning. We need robust human-in-the-loop or human-on-the-loop oversight, especially in high-stakes areas like healthcare or justice. Humans have to remain responsible, and transparency, making AI understandable, is vital for public trust.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, robust governance and regulatory frameworks. Governments can't wait. They need to proactively develop policies that are flexible and can adapt as AI evolves. Things like mandatory ethical impact assessments before deploying high-risk AI systems seem crucial. We need clear rules on accountability, who is liable when an AI causes harm. And this needs collaboration governments, industry, academia, civil society, all working together.
Okay, so design and governance. What about the societal impact?
Third, address societal and economic transformations. We absolutely need policies for retraining and upskilling the workforce to adapt to jobs changing or disappearing. We probably need to seriously explore new economic models. Universal basic income is one often mentioned to ensure the economic benefits of AI are shared fairly. Promoting digital literacy so citizens can understand and critically engage with AI is key, and constantly working to mitigate bias in the data AI learns from is non-negotiable.
And finally, the environmental footprint we discussed.
Exactly. Fourth, ensure sustainable and responsible AI infrastructure. We need investment in green AI research into more energy-efficient algorithms. And we need to prioritize powering data centers with renewable energy sources to minimize AI's own environmental impact.
What an incredible journey. We've really taken a deep dive into this symbiotic future of humanity and AI, from science to health, education, society, right down to our understanding of rules and morality. It's so clear that really grappling with these nuances is essential if we're going to navigate what's coming.
Indeed. The insights from all these sources really hammer home that AI isn't just another tool. It's a co-evolutionary force, changing us as we change it, realizing its huge benefits while mitigating the risks. That hinges entirely on a deliberate, thoughtful, human-centered approach to how we build it and integrate it into our lives. Our collective ability to govern this with foresight, with ethical commitment. That will determine whether AI truly amplifies human flourishing or leads us somewhere else.
So here's a final thought for you to take away. If AI is functioning as this powerful, unprecedented mirror, analyzing our history, our behavior, even predicting what we might do next with surprising accuracy, how might this newfound self-understanding, this reflection, change not just what we know about ourselves, but ultimately who we decide to become as a species?
This is DigitView.